the time they met. Last time they met was at DreamHack, and probably 1-2-1. And yeah, let's just get into this game and see what's going to happen.
Yep, so yeah, let's jump right into the action. So ZBZ starting on, like all of our series so far, at Daybreak. Just no surprise there. And yeah, it looks like... Okay, so Storm is on Copenhagen Wolves. I assume that's what CPHW is. So all right.
Exactly.
Excellent. So yeah, another strong and well-known team. If it's a team from that region and I know who they are, it generally means they're pretty good. That's my rule of thumb so far on this. And let's not dilly-dally anymore. Let's go ahead and introduce these players. In the bottom left of the map, we have our pink Zurich player representing, like we just said, the team from Copenhagen, Copenhagen Wolves. It is none other than Storm. And in the top right, we have, well, one of the players of the most famous teams in international StarCraft as it stands. Red Zerg, his name is Liquid.Ret. And actually, if I remember correctly, Storm actually knocked Ret down to the loser's bracket before, so he's already won a ZVZ against the Liquid players, so that's something to keep in mind going into the series.
Yeah, indeed. So far, of course, nothing crazy going on from either of these players. Still very standard 9 Overlord, 10 Drone, you know, the whole thing. And Daybreak is still considered a very standard map, which is very safe to expand on, even in ZVZ. So I would not be surprised at all to see a 15 hatch versus a 15 hatch.
Yeah, it would not be a surprise at all. I mean, knowing Red, he's the guy. He's known as the king of drones for a reason. Really wants to go for that macro style. ZVZ, you can't always get away with that as much as you would like to, but yeah, would not be surprised to see the fact expansion from him for sure. I cannot say I know that much about Storm and his playstyle, so I can't comment quite as much there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm not sure how young Storm is, but I'm pretty sure he's really young. Like, he's not as old as Red, that's for sure. Red, not necessarily an older player, but you know, he's been in the scene ever since Brood War. You know, he's one of the real veterans of the scene, almost along the lines of Hydra. Meanwhile, we do see the mirror 15 hatch out of both these players, so it might be a very macro-ish play from both of those. Small bug there going on, but it's been fixed already. And yeah, gas first here from Storm being the first deviation, where I expect Red to go for a pool first.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Red, like, and just how much of an experienced player he is, one of the few players to go, foreigner players to go to Korea and play Brood War there. I mean, him, Idra, Artosis. I mean, it's a pretty small group of people who are able to do that successfully. And well, when you can succeed in Brood War and go to Korea and actually play that well, it means you have some really, really good mechanics and a good sense of how the game should be played.
Yeah, indeed. Both players getting a good scout off with the respective overlords. See that their hatchery timing is just about identical. Red also finishes his extractor, so they will both start mining gas. And the question is, are they going to stop at 100 and just go for speed? Or are they going to transition into some more tech, like maybe an early lair or a roach warren, or even more likely, baneling nest?
Yeah, I mean, both these players, at some point, the baneling nest is pretty much nearly requisite in this matchup. Yeah, you really can't play without it. But if it turns out faster or not, well, we just see gas continue to be mined for Storm. Actually, not Nightmare. He is over 100. So, and he takes one guy out of gas. So mining a little bit currently, and Rhett's still mining gas at full force. But we'll see what he does when it hits 100. And looks like he's going to keep going as well. So.
Interesting by Storm leaving one drone on gas. I guess it's along the lines of well, at least it's something. But yeah, both players really, you know, almost perfectly mirroring their build. And there goes the first baneling nest here by Storm, and we're going to see if Red decides to do the same. And the answer is yes. So identical mirrors, basically, almost even their overlords positions are almost identical on the map. How scary is that?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's ZVZ on this map has been played for about as long as humanly possible, so Overlord positioning and all that stuff has pretty much just been figured out. There's like, you know where those Overlords are going to be, you know the best places for them, you're going to put them there, and that's, I mean, it's the oldest map we have in this map pool for sure. I'm pretty confident, not to double check, but we're most playing with HOTS maps and then Daybreak, so yeah, it is been around a while, and yeah, Overlords, well, I mean, okay, I've already made that point, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop rambling for a bit, and, well, these two baneling nests, the baneling nests are now both done, and as far as leaving that one drone in gas, like we saw for a bit, sorry, you made a noise.
Yeah, quick lair for Storm, which is very unusual in my experience. You know, it looks like the baneling nest is mostly for a defensive purpose. You know, he just wants to be able to defend, and he's adding on 3 extractors at the same time, so it looks like Storm here deviating into a 2-based muta build. whereas Red is now just adding on a Spine Crawler to be more safe, and has an Evolution Chamber. Will probably be starting something like +1 Carapace or +1 melee attacks is going to be Carapace. Even a second Evolution Chamber. So the question is Red's Ling Baneling timing going to hit before Mutas pop? And the question should actually be no.
And he's adding on 2 more gas of his own at the natural that will be immediately spotted out by these Lings. Nice little run by timing there for Storm. Scouting goes out immediately, and he's going to try and get the main and spot that one too, but will not be able to do so. And, I mean, yeah, these Mutas are... They're pretty much as fast as you can get while still macroing at a reasonable level. That labor is so fast. Spire is now on the way, only 7 minutes into the game, so going to be very, very fast Mutas. But like you said, this timing could be pretty scary. Ret turning out 16 Lings, working on +1 attack as well. And, well, I feel like if he waits for that +1 attack, it might almost be a bit too late, but that +1 Carapace should finish pretty soon. But if he starts both those upgrades, he wants to go with both of them. I'm pretty sure
he's actually getting a third, which is not bad, because he will get map control with these Lings. Yeah, okay, Red actually breaking off a part of his Zerg force. Just looking at the units tab will be a very accurate description of what is the actual status. You know, Red has a severe lead in Lings, and it's actually going to catch a couple of these Banelings being morphed on the left side. It's really good. And now, yeah, it looks like Storm tries to pick up the third, but he gets denied by Red, who now has significant map control with these Lings, and really, he doesn't even... Yeah, it's going to get cancelled, and he doesn't even need, you know, the upgrades. I think he can get, you know, a very good kill going off here on the natural, perhaps. Yeah, he's grabbing all of his Lings, and he's just going to go.
Yep, going to try and kill that one Baneling off, and he will get it. Only 2 Lings going down to it, so very nicely done so far. Doing the same thing towards that Baneling as well. He's to split off and pick it off, and it looks like he will get that one as well. So Red handling this magnificently so far, starting with splitting up the Lings off initially to try and deny that and push his own. But this engagement not the best. I mean, he's engaging into a choke, and the Queen's just doing massive damage. Baneling's going to be actually allowed to finish the warp in, even Lings being surrounded in the mineral line. So just things look to be going so well for Red. He overcommits just a bit there. The control not quite what he needs to be, and I mean, he has that third base finish now, and that's pretty nice. But that attack at the main, at the natural, just not quite as effective as he wanted it to be.
Oh, Baneling's almost taking out these Lings here at the natural for Red, and now the Mutas have popped. And even though Red hasn't seen the Mutas, okay, now he has, because they're attacking his Overlord. The question is, how is he going to respond? Is he going to make Spore Crawlers? And it kind of depends, actually. Okay, he's making 2 Spore Crawlers, and I kind of want to see this finish, because I want to see if this game is pre or post patch, which has significantly upgraded the damage that Spores drew against biological units. But it seems that Red has decided that the best defense is a good offense, and he's going to start killing a bunch of drones with his Zerglings.
This is certainly the smart move, because there's no defense other than these Mutas right now. For Storm, he has to defend with these Mutas, or otherwise we'll just lose everything. So, and this allows more time for the Spore Calls to pop up, more Queens are in production, 2 more Queens are probably going to finish by the time these Mutas make it across the map. And yeah, Red's playing this pretty darn well so far. It's going to be tough for him to hold on to all 3 of his bases, I think, against this. Mutas are just so mobile, it's hard to really keep track of them all the time. But I think he should be in a pretty good spot here.
This is a post-patch game, so Spores do 45 damage versus biological, which is huge. You know, it's absolutely significant. And with the Queen count, which is up for Red now, it's got up to 7 Queens. He should be able to deal with this, even though he doesn't have Mutas of his own. This is so cool, because this is what kind of what Blizzard has intended for this meta game to shift towards, and we're going to see Red execute it.
Yeah, but we see 15 Banelings away for Storm. He wants to, he's not even trying to remake his third right now. We're going to try and clean up the area with a couple of Lings, but right now he's going for this, basically just Banelings and Mutalisks is literally all he has right now. Some Lings will be across the map shortly, and he kind of needs to wait for those Lings for the follow-up damage, but right now, okay, the third hatchery is made, so he's not going like all in or anything, but he's invested a lot in these Banelings, and they're kind of just, they have to kind of do something now that are morphed on this side of the map.
Keep in mind that Red hasn't actually made a single Baneling.
Yeah, he's
got a Baneling nest, but not a single one. So he's mostly investing into minerals, which is why he's not mining any gas off of his natural and his third. Maybe adding on a couple more Lings. Oh, he's transitioning into Infestors. Yeah, okay.
Ooh, big Baneling hit there on a lot of Red's Lings, though, and he'll actually be forced to back up a bit here, and the Baneling's not moving in. Without Banelings of his own, the Queen's doing the best they can. And the thing is, now the Lings are going to help out clean up. Not the Banelings basically doing enough to take out the entire Ling army of Ret, and Ret now has a bunch of Infestors, but they can't do anything by themselves at all, and now they're just going to go down, and, well, it looks like a nice fungal on this Mutas, but he has no follow-up. There's no way to come back, really no follow-up here at all. The third base almost surely going to go down. Mutas trying to help take out this third, but not getting hit by that Spore Caller, which will eventually go down to the Lings.
The timing here from Storm is absolutely perfect. He attacks right before Infestors pop, before the queens can mass up and before the lings can gather in order to defend adequately against banelings. If he had managed to fungal those banelings, aka beef, earlier, he would have probably defended a whole lot easier against this aggression. And now, he's down a base. He's not going to be happy. Worker count is also significantly reduced, even though he's still ahead. Yeah, his link force, he's already completely lost map control against his mutas, so Red, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, and right before the battle, he lost a ton of links to a couple of baneling hits, and that really made his army smaller. It would have been very hard. He has pure link against what was pure baneling, and that's really not what you want to really fight in the ground. Not a whole lot you can do against that. But God, that was just a tough engagement. Like that infestor timing, like you said, is just so important. And trying to go and get the cancel in this third storm, and it looks like he will get actually not even a cancel. Just kills it
Red
straight
still
up.
has a lot of money though, but what's he going to do with all these minerals? Is he just going to make pure ling? Storm, however, is transitioning into roaches at this point. Very interesting move.
Yeah, well, that will render what's been has to be, because Ret he's not going for Hydras. He's not even remotely considering that. He's relying entirely on Spore Crawlers, Queens, and Infestors. And Mass Queen isn't particularly brilliant against Mass Roach. The armor is just so good against those Queen shots. They just do next to no damage. And, well, he's forced to make this composition to try and deal with the mutas that he's already seen in the map. So I think it's a really smart tech switch from Storm.
Yeah, Red is transitioning into, of course, Ling and Infestors. But he needs more gas income to effectively, mass up his army. And I'm not seeing much of a plan from him at this point in the game. He tried to attack the third of Storm, but it was very well defended with mutas and banelings. So, yeah, in terms of income, okay, he's slightly behind. It's not a disaster in any means. And, well, mutas once again going to fly into the third, maybe?
They're thinking about it. These Queens and Infestors, pretty much, like I said, they're not very good against Roaches, but they are a pretty damn good anti-Mutalisk force, so the Muta's going to have a harder time finding a way in. Scout coming off here from Red as well. The Overseer going to catch vision of all these Roaches, I do believe, and I'll try to scatter the Roaches away, but a few of them were in vision, so Red should have some idea of what's up, and might have some idea of the Roach switch if he was keeping an eye on that, which he almost assuredly was, but Red still, a lot of Storm's supply is in Roaches, but being down 45 supply in a mirror matchup is not particularly where you want to be.
No, not at all. Of course, area of effect damage from banelings and infestors can be rather powerful. He has enough infestors and fungals to chain fungal these mutas if he so wants to. And throwing up a bunch of spines at the third is a really good choice, because they can just tank quite heavily against these roaches. But that's a lot of roaches. Only thing Red hasn't really gotten for him. Okay, well, +1 attack is actually about to finish for these roaches, and that's going to be their timing. They don't have speed, though. That's really something.
Yeah, and Ret did spot the whole group of roaches, so he now knows the true extent of this attack. He knows how many roaches there are present, and so he should be pretty decently prepared. And like I said, the spine crawler is in position already.
Yeah, I was thinking they didn't, but they do have speed actually. Look at him wiggle, and yeah, it looks like Storm is he's maxed out. He's going to go and try to kill Red here.
And yeah, this is going to be a very, very scary timing, especially if he gets some really nice clutch baneling hits on a lot of the lings. There are some roaches in the composition for Ret, but if he can take out a lot of those lings, let's see how many lings there are defensively for Ret. 38. That's a pretty significant defensive force, and if he can take those out, that's a pretty significant portion of Ret's army, and this is going to be a very dangerous attack. It can be multi-prong here, attacking at natural, trying to draw them away, and here comes the rest of the force towards the third base, trying to engage those spine claws without the army behind it to help. Banelings aren't engaging that effectively. Decent fungals at the third base, and the natural... Things seem to be going Ret's way, except for the Mutalisk. Well, the Mutalisk are kind of near that Spore Crawler and doing some damage back at the third base. Trying to watch both these battles at once is not easy. The third base is a pretty even battle, but forced to pull some towards the top as well. And it looks like Storm... Well, the supplies are pretty even, and Ret has the power of close reinforcement range. The third
really
base...
good micro here.
The third base is
really
under attack, though.
Yeah,
and a lot of drones are going down. Roach is going down for Ret, though, and he's held the attack at the natural and forcing him back at the third base as well, and actually going to kill a significant number of roaches here. So, and Ret is now ahead in supply, and I know what Storm was trying to do, trying to draw the army up and then attack at the third base as well, multi-pronged, but I feel like if he had just grouped his army a bit more together, it would have been a bit stronger. There's some choke points to work around, but he gave Ret a chance to kind of out-strategize / out-micro him on two fronts, and Ret pulled it off magnificently. That was a great defense.
I slightly disagree. I think spreading his army out was the perfect thing to do against because Red had a lot of infestors with fungals. So clutching up your roaches is absolutely the best way to lose an engagement in that case. However, Red still defended very well, even though being behind upgrades. He used his links in a very smart way to hold back the roaches and let his own roaches deal as much damage as possible, while using fungals at the third to delay the roaches coming in as much as possible. And yeah, they've kind of equalized in supply. Mostly that's the eco advantage that Storm had. Looking at income, it's very similar, but Red still has a significant drone lead. And the question is, how is he going to build that out? Well, the answer is more Hydras.
Yep. And another thing to point out with Infestors, I mean, since it's been turned into the projectile fungal, it's a bit more difficult to use them offensively, but defensively, I mean, things are a bit more entrenched. You know where to place those fungals. You know where your enemy has to be.
Ooh.
They can't really back up anywhere. And a little bit of posturing in the middle.
Rashford needs to be really careful here. If his army gets caught out, he's going to lose his engagements for sure, because look at the concave that Storm has actually set up. He's looking, once again, the posture, and Red seems to be sort of abandoning his infestor tech and is now going to be forced to defend his natural, and once again has to split off, make sure his third doesn't get taken out, but Storm this time is grouping up and now heading straight towards the third.
This is a pretty insane number of roaches, up to 48 roaches right now to 32 of Ret. Ret does have the infestor back, and nice fungal there, keeping a lot of these units out of the fight. And the Hydras also being able to contribute their DPS as well. Does have one more fungal if he wants to use it there. It does fly out.
Oh, this engagement for Red is going so well. He gets perfect fungals off, keeping his opponent's army mostly out of the fight while reinforcing with his own Roach Hydra. And Red completely crushes this force here by Storm.
Red's composition was just utterly superior. I mean, he had the perfect amount of Hydras to add in, and we do see in the main base, a lot of damage being done by roaches up there. But I mean, this base is almost mined out, so it's not the biggest deal. We're gonna go and clean up these roaches, and well, at the end of the day, the composition was just too much. I mean, pure roach against roach, Hydra, infestor. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, and Red, his decision making really shows to be superior right now, because he decided, okay, I'm on 3 base, so's my opponent, I kill his army, I'm ahead, I'm gonna go kill him, because look at Red's army, it's just simply huge.
Yeah, the army supply is nearly twice as high and in a superior composition of units, so there's really, barring some miraculous Baneling hits, somehow killing all these Hydras and the Infestors not being able to do anything. The Infestor count, well, the Infestor energy is pretty low now, so you won't have the same number of fungals he did. But the Concave is a little bit better for Storm, but the Hydras doing what they can. Good fungal there to hold those Banelings back, though. They won't contribute at all, and Ret's crushing through once again, even without the low energy, and Storm does tap out.
Wow, really good play there by Red. For sure, he was behind at a certain point in time, especially the Mutalisk made things very difficult for him. But he managed to hold on with appropriate Queen support, ending on those very tough spores, which we see now since the patch. And wow, this was a CVC for the books,
Yeah, that was picture perfect by Ret, defending about as well as you could have against someone who went for that earlier tech, managed to use the Infestors, and people just don't seem to be wanting to use Infestors as much in Heart of the Storm, but Ret shows they're still perfectly viable and demolishing the Roaches and the Mutalisk, and that was just, like you said, picture perfect. Ret, his experience showed there for sure.